Hi, everyone. Welcome to Host Agency Reviews Friday 15. You probably who are these people that are here today? We're part of the Host Agency Reviews team. They set us loose. We've got some people on vacation, some people under the weather. So you've got the beautiful Rita and the beautiful Jenn. Woo woo!
Surprise!
So we hope that you're going to have so much fun with us here on Friday at our Friday 15. If you don't know what Friday 15s are, and if you're brand new around here, well, you're in for a real treat. You might not see us again till host week, which is going to be next month, because normally we're not the typical faces that are here on Friday 15. Normally you're going to see Shayna and another special guest. But really what the essence of Friday 15 is that we go live every Friday, obviously, at 12 p.m. Central. We go ahead and take 15 minutes to answer your questions about the travel industry that you've submitted on our website. So if you haven't submitted and would like to submit a question for a future Friday 15, we would love to answer your question live. Be sure to head on over to hostagencyreviews.com/Friday15. And we also bring in lots of special guests. Actually, I said you won't see us that soon, but I think we're all coming on for our final Friday 15 of the year, which is next week.
Yay.
So
lucky you. They're so lucky. They get us again. This is a real treat.
I'm glad we won't be in the driver's seat at that point, though. I'll be on Shayna.
Love it. Love it.
We also have another amazing team member, Abby, who is in the comments. Hi, Abby. And she'll be adding all the links. So whatever we discuss, if we have like a blog post that kind of accompanies that conversation, you can head over there. She's going to add in the link so that you can add in your questions for future Friday 15s. But without further ado, if you don't know Jenn with the Host Agency Reviews team, she has puppies. So you might hear them barking in the background. And if you are new to Host Agency Reviews, this is very on brand. We love dogs and pets of all sorts. So they decided that they also wanted to be part of the show today. But Jenn has been in the industry for quite some time. She was a host agency owner, and now we get to have her on the amazing Host Agency Reviews team. So welcome to Friday 15, Jenn.
Thank you, me and my dogs, who evidently have a lot to say at this very moment. So thanks for coming in, because they were a part of this whole thing too. So yeah. Happy to be here. And actually, the questions that came this week are really cool because they seem to be very focused on new advisors and kind of getting started, which is what I'm very, very passionate about. So normally I am also behind the scenes. So they, decided to let me out this one time, which could have been a very bad decision on someone's part. Nonetheless, let's do it. Let's see what people ask this week. And Rita also, I figure we can conversationally do this because I know you've got experience, like between the two of us. This could be fun to just kind of see what kind of insight we can offer to people who have questions.
Oh yeah, I cannot wait. It's like a little mastermind session here.
Ooh.
So our first question is from Lisa. Thank you, Lisa. I'm a relatively new advisor. I started about 1.5 years ago, and I'm trying to understand the concept of leads. My host agency, which I love, does not have a lead generation program, and I would really like to see how a lead works and practice using my training and skills with a mock lead. Do you know of any programs or practice websites or workbooks for this? Also, in the future, how might I generate leads in real time on my own? Thank you for everything you all do.
Okay, this is a great question. And I know that you can probably riff on this too with me, Rita. Lisa, this is great because I think leads get talked about a lot like there's something very mysterious and magical. So let's start by just in plain English, talk about what a lead is. A lead is just a human. It's just a person that has raised their hand and said, I might want to travel and I might be open to your help. Maybe if you're not a freak. So a lot of times when people talk about leads, you'll hear them talking about cold, warm, or hot leads. I'm not going to dive into that. But basically, the bottom line is the lead is not magic. It's just a human who's raised their hand. And your job is to find out if you're actually a fit. to help that person travel. So let's talk about host leads versus your own. Some hosts are going to send leads and some won't. But I will tell you, the quality is always mixed. In our agency, I did provide leads to our advisors. A lot of them were just tire kickers. Some turned into fantastic clients who actually traveled, but you just never know what you're going to get. Mm-hmm. Also, I will say that just based on all of the interactions that we have with really successful hosted advisors, most of them aren't going to rely heavily on lead programs from their host. But I understand kind of your curiosity and interest as you're getting started. Just remember, a host provided lead program, that's just a bonus. It's definitely not a business model. So don't lean too heavily on it, and I wouldn't disqualify your host for not having one, because there are some easy ways to generate your own. And I think you might even find they're higher quality. So before you even chase those leads, let's focus on the process. And what is the process that you would handle with a lead when it comes in? And whenever you're talking about leads, I think that you're going to be working 3 basic muscles. You're going to be working your intake questions muscle. You're going to be working on your qualifying muscle, and then you need to understand what your next steps are. So those are the 3 things that you want to solidify in your own process before you really dive into focusing on getting more leads. I would say practice with friends and family as mock clients first, and then just create a few made up scenarios. Your friends and family are going to love you even if you suck. And so you can suck with them and it's okay. And so I would say practice sucking a little, mess up a few times, and don't chase more leads until you know exactly how you're going to handle them and what happens when someone raises your hand. So some simple ways to practice: ask some of your close friends, if you could travel in the next year, where would you go? And then run your intake process. Create, I would say, 2 to 3 ideal scenarios and walk through your flow on paper. And then I would also say treat every casual inquiry like it's a real lead, because the minute you speak up and start telling people that know and love you that you're now a travel advisor, you start getting the question, hey, well, could you help me with this? Or anytime somebody reaches out to you and says, hey, you're doing travel now, practice that like a real lead. Run your intake, qualify them, ask them all the questions, and it's a great opportunity to run through the whole scenario in real life. And you don't need a website or a lead program to feed you that. These are people that know and trust you already. I think it's a great way to get started in the industry. Any thoughts on that part, Rita? Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think the points that you made are really great, starting with friends and family to kind of like break in and get like your spiel started is going to be, you're going to gain so much confidence from that. Tangibly, when I'm thinking where to find leads, where would you be hanging out at? Like right now, we're thinking mid-December. There's a lot of like holiday festivals that are happening. If you cannot be a vendor, which is totally fine, maybe you're just going and you're meeting with other fellow business owners. That's one of the things that I've been noticing a lot. Like us as business owners, we love to help out other business owners. So being able to even just network with other business owners at these holiday festivals are going to help build up like your black book of contacts. If you're starting to like think about 2026 and wanting to get out there and networking, it can be like more formal networking events, and you can go to like meetup.com or Eventbrite. You can simply Google like women business owner events or just general business owner events, depending on who you are. I also start thinking about like going in very niche. So if you're wellness or if you're wellness focused, what types of wellness events are there? Because it's not that you're going there to necessarily sell yourself. You're going there to make new contacts in that space that maybe can become joint venture partnerships down the line, or maybe eventually you start talking more about travel. You just have to start meeting people and really building your book of network, because not only is it for your benefit, but if you meet like a website designer at one of these events and you know somebody in your network is in need of that, you can be of help and of service and doing that way. Like it's almost like you're building up your social gold points or whatever it might be when it comes to that networking sphere, because it's not just you're looking for something for yourself. It's also how can you help other business owners in your local area.
And I also, I mean, one of the things that I think new advisors on my team years ago used to get kind of tripped up with is they would spread themselves so thin and they felt like they needed to join every networking event. I don't think that's necessary. I say pick one or two and just show up where you think your ideal clients are going to be. But even more than networking and asking for leads, I think it's even better practice to just ask for referrals. So when you work with somebody, you want the best lead you're ever going to get in your life. It's going to come from somebody that you did a great job for as an advisor, and then they refer that person to you. So I would make it a point and a habit. Every time you have a great experience with a client, ask them. If you have friends or family that travel the way you do, I would love an introduction. That's the way my business grows. And I will say that the advisors that were on my team that practiced that always had a new book of business. There were always new people looking to work with them. And it was the smartest way to do things. I think clarity also converts. And so in terms of your process, make it easy to work with you. So the more specific you can be about who you are and who you help and how, I think the easier it is for the right people to find you.
Yeah. Yeah, the knowledge bombs over here being dropped. Let's just keep on going. Let's move on to question number 2. I've signed up with a host agency and done the online education, but I'm still pretty confused about how to create FIT trips through the host. For years, I have run my own trips and have strong relationships with specific hotels, lodges, transportation companies, and tour guides. There are specific hotels and lodges that I always use when I book trips. Now that I have my own company and a host agency, I'm realizing that none of my contacts / hotels, etc., are used to or even findable on the host agency site. When I did my initial call with the host agency, they said it wasn't a problem to book non-preferred suppliers, but now I'm not getting any info about how to book these hotels and lodges that I want to for upcoming trips. I can book these hotels and lodges with an OTA or directly with the hotel or lodge, but I am then liable as the supplier since I didn't book through the host agency. I was told by the attorney who I hired to do my terms and conditions that it was important for me to book everything through the host for my protection. But I am not sure how to do that. Any help would be appreciated.
Ooh.
Thank you from another Minnesotan. Whoop! If you didn't know, Host Agency Reviews is based in Minnesota. So grateful for your work with new advisors, Heather.
Oh, this is a thick one. And
Yes.
for the purposes of this, I know we're not going to be able to cover this in as much detail as I'd like to. Maybe there will be a blog post coming. But I will say, first of all, Heather, anybody who has been doing FITs on their own hits this same wall when they join a host. And it's really not that it can't be done. It's you're missing some of the process. First of all, let's talk a little bit about just basic vocab. There's a difference between a preferred versus a permitted supplier. Preferred, when somebody talks about preferred suppliers, that means that there's a formal relationship that's been established between your host and that supplier. And they are going to show up in the host agency's tools. That's who you're going to see. That doesn't mean that anyone who doesn't appear in that portal you can't book with them anymore. There are also permitted suppliers. Permitted suppliers are allowed, but again, you just need to make sure that there's a process in place. And what I mean by process is if you need to have a way that your host agency can track that booking, track your commissions, track everybody's earnings, and that has to somehow connect with their system. And it's possible, but you're going to want to talk to your host about how to do that. I'm going to, a little bit, since you brought up attorney, again, we are not attorneys. We're not your attorneys. So this is educational. So big fat disclaimer right there. your attorney's comment about make sure you book through the host and use their approved channels for your own protection, there's some truth to that. When you are booking something that is not a preferred supplier, when I say you need a process, it's important that you connect your host's accreditation to that booking. And it's possible to do that by going to this supplier and saying, hey, I'm now working with a host agency. Can we book this under my host's IATA number or CLIA number, whatever they use as their identification? And the commission then needs to be paid to the host at this remittance address. So there's a process that needs to be set up. A lot of times a host agency will need to sign a contract with that supplier, just an agreement, a formal agreement. Your host will have to do that. But again, the reason your attorney would say that is because your host agency's errors and omissions, insurance, their seller of travel registration, it's the umbrella that you'll be working under that is the reason why you don't have to have those things yourself. So it's a huge advantage to work with a host agency for that protection. But if you step outside that umbrella, if you step out from underneath that umbrella, you might get wet. So you want to find a way to make all this stuff fit underneath the umbrella. Basically, and again, I think for the sake of time, I won't go into huge detail, but where people I think get into trouble is when an advisor starts acting as the supplier, like collecting payment personally and then remitting it to a supplier for payment. Anytime money gets messy, your liability I think it increases. So the risk gets higher. When money flow becomes messy, liability is messy. So clean money paths are going to help you sleep better at night. And you want this. I promise you do. So just some basic questions that I would say. Did you want to jump in, Rita? Sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. Go ahead. I only have one thing to add, but I can add that at the end.
Okay. I was just going to say the questions that you might want to talk to your host about, like specific things that you could say, is talk to your host and say, what is your process for non-preferred or outside suppliers? How do I make sure that those bookings are covered under your errors and omissions and seller of travel licenses, accreditations? Ask them if there's anything that is absolutely not allowed in terms of practice or suppliers. Ask them if there are preferred DMCs and wholesalers that can do something similar that are partnered, that are preferred partners, because that might be the easiest path to getting what you're after anyway. But ultimately, you want to make sure that your host, your terms and conditions, and your attorney are all pointing in the same direction. The only way you do this is through some conversation. But as far as keeping your favorite suppliers, like I said, I think if you reach out to them and say that you're now working under a host, can we set this up so that I am booking under my host and my host is the one receiving commission? There's a process for that. And I will say you don't have to give up most of the time your favorite lodges and little boutique hotels. You just have to bring them into an actual process.
Yeah. The one thing I was going to add to that is maybe even like going to those hotels and lodges and asking them what are some of the industry platforms that they can be booked on. Because I think about things like Classic Vacations or Vax Vacation Access that has so many different suppliers within that too. Because if you're able to book through one of them through your host, then that may be kind of like the connector between some of these hotels and lodges that you made personal relationships with and want to still be able to promote within your business too. So you can go from that angle too. We're at the final question. This one's a much more condensed question. So thank you, Marsha. I'm a new travel advisor and the host agency's booking platform is so complicated. I'm still trying to make it through the training, thinking about switching it to another host. Oh no. Are booking platforms so complicated in general? How can you find out?
Whew. I mean, first of all, if you feel like you need a PhD to log into a host portal, welcome to the industry. You're in excellent company.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times it's not that you're bad at tech. Some people just, I think, take all the responsibility on themselves. You're not necessarily bad at tech. You're just in the learning to drive stick shift on a hill phase. Like, it's hard. Everybody stalls out a few times. And so two truths that I would say to you. One is that most systems feel awful at first. I don't think I've ever logged into a new system and thought, this is everything I ever wanted it to be. It's awful. And then the second truth is that some tech really is a bad fit. And I think it's important to kind of like just dive into the difference. Take and give yourself kind of a quick diagnostic. Is this a new advisor problem? Like, is it just because I'm new and I haven't given myself enough stick time, or is it truly a bad fit? And some questions that I would say, ask yourself, honestly, have you given this platform 2 to 3 focused sessions, not just like panic use when you have an actual client sitting next to you wanting you to book something? It's the worst time to try to learn a platform. But have you sat down and really walked through the process with a mock booking? Try to book the things that you know you're going to be booking if you have a niche or something that you want to focus on. Walk through that process and just see how it feels. Understand the workflow. And really there's kind of 3 to 5 main workflows, but you want to know how to book something, how to maybe record an outside booking, like with a non-preferred supplier, like we were just talking about, how to check your commissions. Those are 3 kind of key things that you want to figure out. And I would also then just consider, how are other advisors in this host doing with this booking platform? If you look around and there are dozens or hundreds, in some cases even thousands of advisors who seem to be managing and successful with this platform, then it's probably not a tech problem. It's just a matter of you just need a little more stick time. Ultimately, our tech is supposed to reduce our decision fatigue, not add to it. There is some tech that I think gets it wrong. We're learning. I think things are getting better and better in the industry, but really, I would say a lot of this can be fixed by just clarifying the role that this platform is supposed to play in your business and not expecting it to be everything. Anytime you hear a platform that shows up and tells you that they are going to be everything that you ever need to run your business, it's probably not true. I hope there comes a day where we can have platforms that do it all. But the reality is most advisors are using what we call a tech stack. Some tech stacks are monstrous. Post Agency Reviews currently has a tech stack that is much taller than it probably should be. It's leaning at this point. We got a lot. We're losing balance. But everybody does this. And so really your host's booking platform, if you focus on it, needs to handle bookings, manage your commissions, and then provide you with resources. You might need something separate as a CRM. You might need a separate itinerary tool. But I would say before you go crazy and switch host, give yourself a 30-day platform bootcamp season and just really dive in. Book at least 3 fake trips, start to finish, in that system. Find out about live support, either from the platform, from your host. Ask someone if they can screen share and watch you walk through a booking. And then talk to your peers about the platform and ask them, what are a couple of things that you wish you had learned sooner about this system as a newbie? I would say then, once you've done that, when might it be reasonable to consider a new host? If that platform just fundamentally doesn't support what you're trying to build in terms of a business or a niche, or you can't get meaningful training or support, or there are big holes in that tech and it's creating compliance risks that make you feel like you're not able to properly document things or track things, that's a big deal. But also I would say, don't pick a host for the shiniest portal. Pick a host whose systems support the business you're actually trying to build. So if you decide that the tech that you have at your fingertips is not great, just go in eyes wide open. I would say never ever interview a host and say, is your tech good? Is it easy? They're all going to say yes. You need to ask for a demo, ask to see it, ask for a walkthrough, because bottom line is you don't get extra commission for suffering. So might as well try to find something that's going to work, that aligns with the business that you're trying to build. I don't know. You have thoughts on that, Rita? We just finished a massive tech event, and we had all of these great tech suppliers come in and do demos. So it's kind of fresh on our minds. What do you think?
Yeah, because I would also say, because leaving a host because of technology, I feel like host agencies are more than just technology. Like there's so much more support that they can provide. So if the booking platform aspect of it is a little too complicated for you, definitely like take into consideration the advice that Jenn's giving, because I think it's really hefty. I love the 30-day kind of like boot camp, the reset boot camp. I would also think about like what exactly about the booking is the pain point. Is it entering items in for a commission? Because maybe then you just enter in the bare minimum that you need to make your commission, and then you use like a CRM tool to keep track of all of your other client information. If their booking platform isn't your favorite, kind of similar to the question that we just were answering, maybe there's other booking platforms that you can use, like a Vax or a Classic Vacations, or directly like with a cruise line with all of your credentialed login information also. Because it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to book all of your items through the host booking platform, but you can still book with their credentials on different booking platforms as well. So I think this is also like a very nuanced question that we need a little bit more details to be able to pinpoint what it is. But I hope like giving some insights on some of these different aspects also helps with answering that question too.
The struggle is real. Like,
yes,
I mean, it's a legit question, and I think everybody deals with this. So it's a fair ask, and it's, I don't know. I think the industry is getting better at it though too. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah. And definitely you mentioned our Hardwired, our tech week. So want to plug that there. Abby, if you can put the link in. On the Friday of tech week, there were over a dozen tech demos. And this spans like from booking platforms, but also like CRM technologies. So definitely if you're kind of like in the market for a new provider, you're like your first provider, definitely take a look at the demos that are happening there, because it's in real time. You get real access and see like how they all look and perform too. And you'll get a little bit of that as we're talking about host week, which is coming up January 26th through the 30th. So make sure to save your spot at har.news/register. It is 5 incredible days. If you're new in the industry or if you're experienced, this event really is for you. If you're in the market for your first host, maybe thinking about dabbling into your next host, we're going to, just like Hardwired has tech demos, there are host interviews back to back. So you can kind of see what the culture and the vibe and what different hosts offer based on the different interviews that are happening that week. Awesome. So again, make sure that you're registered. We don't have all of the information up for our 2026 event because we're still getting all those details in. But if you register your spot, we'll be sure to send you all the details. Also coming back this year are our coffee spots. So those are kind of like our pre-show at Host Week. I'll have Abby enter in all the links for those so that you can sign up for the ones that you're super interested in. It's going to be like a real deep dive in either different host companies, different technology companies, and even some suppliers. So on the Monday of Host Week, which is the 26th, you'll hear from Avoya. Tuesday, we have Travify. Wednesday, we have Global Travel Collection. Thursday, we have Tour Radar. And Friday, we finish off with Incentive Connection Travel. So again, be sure to sign up. It is a separate sign up because the key word there is coffee. So if you sign up and register for the individual sessions, you'll also be entered in to win one of the coffee gift cards that will be available. There's, I believe, at least 10 different coffee cards that are available for each of the sessions. So enter to win by registering for that. Also, another friendly reminder that next week, December 19th, is going to be our final Friday 15 of 2025. And so you'll be able, You'll be able to see many, I mean, we're a small team, but you'll be able to see, I think, at least double of us next week. So be sure to submit your questions. If you liked us here, make sure to submit your questions for us next week because we can't wait. Friday 15s will be coming back on January 9th in 2026, full of fantastic guests. So we can't wait. Anything else you'd like to add to wrap our
I don't know. I feel like we have like special permission. We could say anything we want.
I know.
Danger. No, we'll save it we'll leave them wanting more next week. Yes. So, it's fun. Thanks for all the questions and keep them coming because this is an opportunity for you to ask. And Shayna and Steph bring on real experts in the industry to answer these questions. So it's a great way to just get kind of a phone a friend and it's free. And it's fun.
I love it. Phone a friend. All right, travel pros. Well, we will see you here next week. Thanks for joining us and have a fantastic weekend or rest of your week. Bye.